Did you ever have anything funny or something that you can laugh about now happen?
Well, we had an incident very similar to that where one of the members wasn't there on time,
Mm-hmm.
and now this was another one of these bands that we only played one show,
Mm-hmm.
and by this point I was totally fed up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now some of the people from Shockwave were in this other band. It was called Dominatrix.
Okay.
And Eric the singer was in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Fessick was a drummer in that band, I believe.
Okay.
Danny, my cousin, played in that band.
Okay.
Briefly. We had a bass player, a guy that I had met through my job at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we played a place. It was outside of Philadelphia. It was in. I was trying to think of the name of the town. It was in Ben Salem.
Ben Salem, PA. Sure.
Yeah. And I believe the name of the club was the Cell Block or something like that.
Okay, that sounds familiar, but yeah.
It kind of had a prison theme to
Mm-hmm.
it. Anyway, that's all immaterial. We were doing a showcase there. I went to one of these music conferences. This is how this came about. I went to one of these music conferences where they have people from the music industry
Mm-hmm.
that get up and give lectures on various topics. Do you want to get involved in the booking aspect of it? You want to be a performer, a studio musician? What role do you want in the music business?
Mm-hmm.
So they had it in a convention center, and guys, probably over 1,000 people there. And through that, I got connected with this show that was at this nightclub. It was what they call a showcase.
Yeah.
And they
sure.
had several bands playing. You get up and you play one set of music,
Mm-hmm.
of original music, and the purpose of it is there's supposed to be record company people there.
Right.
And so you're going to get a chance to perform in front of record company people. That sounds like a great idea. But of course, they're not sending out the record company presidents. They're sending out low-level people that
Yes. Yeah.
that some of them were very young,
Mm-hmm.
very, very limited number of years in the business just because of their age. It was obvious they hadn't done anything for long.
Yeah.
They weren't old enough to have done anything for long.
Mm-hmm.
And then there would be a handful of other people that were maybe a little more experienced
Mm-hmm.
and all. But anyway, bottom line, we ended up getting connected to this showcase that they were going to sponsor. So we're driving up there and to do this show, and I am going to out this one, Eric. You're listening. you are being fingered.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He pulls off to get a hamburger, get something to eat,
Uh-huh.
and then so we got separated from the basically the caravan. We had several cars going up there, and so we're trying to keep an eye on everybody, and then I notice he's no longer in line. So I figured, well, he'll catch up, Anyway, so we get there, and I'll tell you, the clock is ticking, and there's no Eric. So I said to the stage manager, the guy who was controlling, when it's time for somebody to go up and get done, and next band goes up and all. And I said, our singer isn't here. And I said, can you get the band that is supposed to go on after us? Can you get them to go on in our time slot? And he said, no, they're not all here. Because they weren't expecting to go on for more than almost 2 hours later.
Right.
So he said, they're not all here. Okay?
Mm.
And I said, well, can somebody fill the slot? And he said, well, there's a couple things. He said, it's only your slot that has to be filled. So however it's filled, you're not going to play because you're not going to play tonight because all the other bands were assuming they're going to show up.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can switch you with somebody else.
Sure, right.
Okay? So he said either there will be no one, he said, or maybe this band could play a little longer. He said, I don't know. He said, I don't think that's a good idea to do that. And he said, yeah, maybe we just won't have anyone on the stage at that time.
Jeez.
So anyway, about it was like 5 or 10 minutes before we were supposed to go on, Eric shows up. And so I say to the stage manager, I said, our singer's here, we can go on. He says, okay, go ahead. So, but of course, you have to take your equipment up and your, especially, your amplification.
Yeah.
And, and you have to set everything up and you set your pedals up. And of course, we didn't have time for a sound check. We didn't have time to, you're under so much pressure and you're rushing to get your stage equipment up on there and get it set up and be ready to play. Well, it took us about 20 minutes to do that.
Oh, man.
Which, that's not at all abnormal.
Oh, yeah.
20 minutes is actually seriously busting ass to get the stuff up on stage.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
get it set up. So anyway, we lost half our set time.
Oh, God.
So we got up and we played maybe 20 minutes, something like that, 20, 25 minutes. It was very brief. And then we had to get off the stage. We couldn't continue to play the rest of our set because there's somebody else waiting after us to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever we could get done in our time slot, that was all we were going to be able to do. There was no juggling afterwards of the time. So that was a night I thought if there was ever a night my head was going to explode, that would be the night. Okay?
Yeah. Jeez.
I was livid that went down that way. So, and you can imagine poor Eric. He's a good guy. He's a good-hearted guy.
I remember him too. I used to, yeah.
But man, did he get screamed at that night?
Yeah.
It was like worse than a drill sergeant encounter. Okay.
Oh, boy.
I was at the end of my rope with it. At that point, I just could not believe that would happen. And what he said was, they, when they got back on the highway, they got lost. They I don't know if they missed the exit or I don't know at what point, but anyway, bottom line was they couldn't find the place, so they were driving around trying to find a place, and that's why they were late. Horrendous story.
Yeah.
So, and then afterwards, the people from the record companies would come up and talk to each band. So, I had a brief conversation with them afterwards. Was highly unimpressed with the people they sent out. And some of the things they were saying, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, what even remotely makes you think that could be correct?
Yeah, I know.
But I'm just staying there listening to them and some of the advice they were giving, and just couldn't believe some of the things they were saying.
Yeah.
But that was their idea of what would work. And you know what? When you speak of those people in the record business, the ones that are supposed to know music, one of probably the most egregious example of incompetency was when the Beatles were trying to get promoted in the United States. And when their parent label in Britain, they were a major hit in Europe.
Yeah.
They had 5 #1 hits in Europe. And every time they would approach Capitol Records in the United States about, let's release the Beatles in the U.S., this band is really big, they're really going to go somewhere, the people at Capitol Records were turning them down and saying, nah, you don't understand the U.S. market. Okay? And these are the people in the business that are supposed to be the ones that know and the ones that can spot talent and the ones that they have their finger on the pulse of what's happening. I mean, I know it's easy to say this now, but you can listen to the Beatles music and you could say, how could anyone have not seen the commercial potential
Oh yeah.
of that band? How could you not have noticed that? If nothing else, their song, their singing ability. If nothing else, just that alone. So, but that's what you're up against.
Right.
You have people in making decisions in this business that really have no business making decisions.
Yeah. Yep. I could see that too in a lot of the conferences I went to back in those days. They'd send out some A&R rep. And then their whole attitude was like, okay, you could come up here and you can buy me lunch and I'll give you 15 minutes. And I'll let you know how bad you suck, then I'll go back to work. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So in wrapping up here, we've got a little bit of time left. Would you want to do one more Shockwave song before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's do Baptism by Fire.
Baptism by Fire. I love that song. I love the intro to it and everything. And
I'll tell you what the story on that is.
Yeah.
It's in Latin.
Yeah. Yep. Somebody took their Latin in elementary school, right? Catholic school.
Well, Adam.
Adam.
Yeah. Adam had studied Latin.
Who else?
Who else? Yes.
Yep.
And what it is about? This was in the era when people like Ozzy, they were always being accused of either being devil worshippers or having there were some satanic messages in the records.
Right.
Okay, and it wasn't just Ozzy. There's lots of artists in that era. That was it basically became a witch hunt.
Yeah, it did.
On a lot of the metal acts, and everyone, they were trying to find some nefarious meaning or intent in the songs.
Right.
And so I thought, you know what? We ought to put a Bible passage in there and put it in Latin.
Right.
And let's see who overreacts to it.
Yeah.
All right. And makes an idiot of themselves, saying, "Oh, there's something demonic there," when there isn't at all. As none of us are into that anyway.
Right.
So it was basically, let's pull their chain a little bit, let's rattle their cage, and see what kind of reaction we get. And then, of course, the song "Baptism by Fire." When you listen to the lyrics and that, they're intense.
They are.
They're intense. I sealed your place in line. You'll come to see how hot it can be. So there's a lot of lines in that song that are intense. But that was the idea behind that. Really, I said let's put something out that's completely innocent, but let's see how it triggers the loonies.
Right. Yeah,
all right. So that's what that intro is about. And then there's what sound like a choir behind it.
Sure.
And I'm just playing the keyboard part there that had a voice, emulation on there. So choir.
Right.
Setting. But that's what it is. So go ahead and play it.
Baptism by Fire by Shockwave. Here we are.
Ergo quidem baptizo vos in aqua in penitentiam ipse vos baptizabit in Spiritu Sancto et in me.
Okay, great. Yeah, I really do like that. That's a good song. That really is a good song. I
Thank
like
you.
it. So Greg, where can we find this music? I know you have a. Could you tell us the address or title of your YouTube channel?
Just type in my name,
Mm-hmm.
and my YouTube channel will come up. Sometimes one of the songs will also come up with it in the column.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you do the search. But if you just go to the main channel, because if you didn't know the songs, you wouldn't know to put in a particular title.
Right.
If you don't go to the actual main page, you wouldn't know what's on there.
Right,
So
right.
that's the best thing is you just type in my name on the YouTube search box.
Okay.
And then go there. I'll tell you this real quickly before we wrap up because I know you got to run. I've got a video coming out in a probably a week or two. It is strictly just me playing instrumental guitar. And Fran and I have written and recorded a new song.
Oh, wonderful.
That we're going to put on there, and we're doing some final mixing changes in it now. And when that comes out, that when we get that done, I'm going to put that on the YouTube channel too.
Right.
So it's primarily an acoustic piece, or not primarily. It is an acoustic piece. It's not a hard rock piece. And I'm playing a 6-string, a 12-string, and a nylon string guitar.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
So I'm playing all the guitar tracks on there. So that should be coming along in a couple weeks also.
Great. Well, we look forward to hearing it. So, Greg, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight on Foul Players Radio and giving all of us that are still under, they've released a couple of things, but we're still under somewhat of a quarantine here, something to kind of listen to and spread some good cheer and entertain each other with. Thank you for being with us, and
I enjoyed it.
Thanks,
I enjoyed
Greg.
it.
Well, wonderful. And thank you all for listening to Foul Players Radio. We'll see you next time.